We took a few inspirations. Obviously, the Lagavulin label. Don't put this on the B-roll.
We are still rolling, actually. So,
That's fine.
so you completely stole Lagavulin. Got it.
Hey, welcome to Super Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
This is Whisky in the Six. I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whisky Rant Podcast.
It's a little crusty,
It's frustrating.
and it's going to be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
Hello, and welcome back to the Whisky Rant Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Rob.
And tonight, did you ever want to be your own independent bottler? Because we have two gentlemen here that are living the dream.
That's right.
Kevin and Jeff from Spirit for Us. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you. It's
Thank you.
fantastic to be here.
So you're here, you're launching like a brand new whiskey, and this is something that you had dreamt up for a very, very long time. I remember, we go way back to London, Ontario Spirit. What do you call it? London, Ontario Spirit Club?
London Area Whiskey Society.
You're close.
Super close.
You're
Super close.
The short form is Lowe's. We are Lowe's.
But no, you had this like kind of dream, and you're like, I want to like bottle whiskey. I want to be an independent bottler. And right now, right in front of us, we have the inaugural bottling. Why don't you just introduce yourself, introduce Jeff, tell us kind of how this came to be.
So my name is Kevin Dundee. I've been a Patreon of these two wonderful guys for a very long time. My whiskey journey, I'm about 8-9 years into my whiskey journey. And yeah, I met Jeff through tastings with Kensington Wine Market, which, we've done a bunch. I mean, I know that I've done like a bunch of tastings, but Jeff has done probably way more than me. And I think Jeff is probably way more experienced than me. Jeff, tell him.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Sturger. I kind of just been dabbling in the whiskey thing for maybe like 8, 9, 10 years now. And yeah, I met Kevin through online tastings, and we're probably up to like a couple hundred by now, at least.
I mean, I think you are probably up to a couple hundred. I know in the last 2 years, I've done like 55.
Yeah.
Basically one every 2 weeks.
I'm like,
You do a whiskey tasting every other week? Nice.
I
At least,
do
yeah.
at least.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I've recorded like tasting notes for.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
I've got like one a week, sometimes 2, occasionally 3.
Yeah, Jeff's a bit of a monster.
Right.
I'll drink anything someone pours me.
I mean, won't we all? All right. Well, why don't you tell us what do we have in front of us here? Because you guys have gone through this process, and let's just see what the whiskey is, and then we'll talk about how it came to be.
So this is a Stillwater's whiskey, single malt, so barley.
And Stillwater's is a distillery here in Ontario.
In Vaughan or Concord, sorry.
Concord,
Yeah,
Ontario.
still
Yeah.
Vaughan. It's
Yeah.
considered Vaughan.
Basically the same. That I say that not being from the area at all. So
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think anybody would take offense to that.
okay.
Nobody's taking offense to that.
And so yeah, we bought we actually ended up having to buy 2 casks. We went through a series of like going through some samples. We chose one, and that particular cask had like 39 liters of alcohol in it. It had
39, that's it?
It had lost a lot.
Wow, that's
Um,
great.
36.
And then we sort of said, well, okay, let's look at what our second choice was. And, that one only had 54. So we ended up putting them both together.
Okay, so these casks, let's just pause for a second. So you're buying them knowing exactly how much is in?
Yes.
Okay. So you're like, this cask only has this much, this cask only has this much. So we have to buy 2 to essentially make this thing work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so was there a reason why you decided to buy those 2 in particular, or?
Well, we had received a few different samples from them, and we'd gone through them and, tried them a few different times and tried them at, we actually, the process that we went through for tasting is we watered them down to 20%. Then we did 40, I don't know if we did 40, but we did 45, 50, 55, and 60, and tasted through all of those ABVs and made notes for all of those ABVs and tried them at those strengths. And those were the top two that we came across.
So this is the blended 2 barrels into one, and what that basically was like before being recasked.
Yes, on the outside there, the one barrel was about 81% ABV. The other barrel was about 75% ABV.
Wow, big ABVs.
Yeah.
Wow.
At Stillwaters, they basically increase in ABV.
Because of the heat inside the facility.
I don't know if it's about heat. I think it's about moisture in the air.
Okay.
Low humidity.
Yeah, the humidity, right.
Do you know what the strength was going into the barrel?
So we put it down to about 63%, right? I think it was 63 point something.
63, 64.
Oh no, I mean the spirit, like the white dog.
Oh,
No.
no, we don't know. I think that might, I don't know, yeah, that might be Stillwater's proprietary stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
With their
Right.
And
So
it's about 8.5 years old.
it was when we bought it, the one barrel was a little bit older. The other barrel, the minimum age was 8 years and 9 months.
Okay.
So you have a 9-year-old product here, finished. And tell them about the barrel that you finished in, because this is kind of like a different barrel new to the whiskey scene that we've only tried maybe like one finishing in
I think
ever.
once, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you provided us with the sample of it. Yeah.
Jeff, do you want to?
Yeah, so Amburana's been kind of a new one that's popped in. There's not too many whiskeys out there that have been finished in it. A handful of bourbons. We get a lot of talking about it, and it's a cool wood from Brazil. And they use it to age cachaça, which is a Brazilian spirit made from distilled fermented cane juice.
So
And then
cachaça, do you know what the ABV of cachaça is? Is it around 40 or?
I believe so.
So it would be similar to like a rum, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool.
And, yeah, we liked all the tasting notes we'd seen, and we're like, you know what? No one's done this. We'll give this a try.
Yeah, because like this barrel, like Kevin, what was the whiskey that you sent us that was aged in this? Was it a bourbon?
Starlight
A Starlight
bourbon.
Yeah.
bourbon,
Yeah,
right?
They have a Starlight cigar batch, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
And they did, I think that was 4 years old bourbon, and then 1 year in Amburana.
Right. So you sent that to us and like, what do you guys think about this barrel? And we're like, man, it's nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
It's nice. It gives it a very unique characteristic. And so tell us about, I guess, like sourcing this finishing cask that you guys used. Like, how did that process come to be?
Ultimately, it wasn't that hard, and there wasn't really like a lot of like magic or, great story that goes along with it. We were looking for barrels, and one of the barrel companies that we were made aware of was Northeast. I'm not sure entirely where they are, but they send out a list of what they have. I think initially I was thinking of a cognac barrel or something along those lines. And they had Amburana, and I spoke to Jeff, and because of the uniqueness and the one whiskey that we tried, we went in search of it to try to find out what this would be like, and then we made the decision. Again, hoping that by the time we released it, it would also still be like one of the first, if not the first, Canadian whiskey aged in Amburana. I also don't know if there's ever been any single malts aged in Amburana. So
there you go. So yeah,
at least in Canada.
This is honestly, I've skipped ahead just on the nose. So I tasted the spirit originally, like the way it was at around 8 years, 9 months. And it's great. It, at 63%, it has some heat to it, but it's actually really nice. But smells nothing like the finished product. And this was only in the Amburana barrels for what, 3 months? Just over 3 months?
Yeah. 97 days.
That's crazy. Yeah. So this in the middle here, we have what? How many days?
46.
Yeah, so we should explain what you've got for us. So you poured us obviously the final product, but before that, we have just the Canadian whiskey without the finish, and then the whiskey finish, I guess half the length of time you totally went with, right?
And we
Yeah.
said these are single malts, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
We wanted to sort of provide you guys a similar experience to what we had gone through. Not having direct access to the casks, like we don't obviously have our own distillery, so we're working with people.
Right.
So, we tried it like a few times over those months, but the February 21st was when I pulled this sample.
Yeah.
And this is exactly, what we tried from that sample pull.
Okay. Nice.
This is some of that whiskey.
Very cool. So working with obviously still waters, what was that experience like? Like obviously not every single distillery is like, sure, you can come buy a cask.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Stillwaters. You said. I thought you were saying Last Straw, because Last Straw was the distillery that ultimately like helped this happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Huge thanks to Don and the team there. They've really been super helpful, in bringing this to market.
Right. So yeah, so let's explain that, because not everyone maybe realizes that, but you can't just obviously bottle whiskey in your garage, right?
No.
And like sell it.
Not in
So,
Ontario.
not in Ontario.
Maybe Tim from your last podcast in Australia.
Right. And that's obviously, so you guys use Last Straw. It's essentially like they brokered this entire bottling, like they bottled it, they labeled it. Like what was their hand in it?
They helped us out with like a lot of the manual labor. We don't have team and employees and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So, and cask storage, we don't have a warehouse. So they provided us those services.
Okay, right. So the finishing aged in their warehouse, and they bottled it.
Yes.
Right.
And labeled it.
Bottled it and labeled it.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just geeking out a little bit here. Have you tried the middle, the 40 days?
I've tried them all.
And
Yeah, good.
so I mean,
I'm really
haven't
just
got-
kind of drinking the final product. The first one, the ABV is very strong.
significant. Yeah. It's
What is it? 63%?
63 or 64. Yeah. The second one's up there too in ABV. Yeah.
And sorry, we should say that you guys ended up bottling this at 55% ABV.
Yes.
Yeah, so you wanted to stick with like a very high ABV on it.
Do you wanna...
We tried these also too at like the 81 and 75% ABV samples we had without watering them down. And you're welcome, you don't have to. That's really high.
75% is
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's you can fuel your car with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was still good, but man, that's a lot of alcohol.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah, that's a crazy amount. I mean, I don't think I've ever had anything above 71, maybe some
One of these
crazy
was-
bourbon.
One of these was 81.
81.
Yep.
Yeah, that will blind you, right?
That's crazy.
The original one that we liked the most was 81.
So was there any discussion at the time like we should bottle this at 81?
No.
Well, I think there was some joking discussion.
Yeah.
And some people in the industry that I've spoken to have encouraged us to not be afraid of like releasing 81%.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm afraid of it. I think a lot of people, even enthusiasts, would be like 81%. That's, why would I even drink that?
Right. Yeah.
Even though it could be nicer at that strength.
Mhm.
But we actually went through and tried it, and we do really want to, one of our things is natural presentation, non-chill filtered cask strength when possible, when it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think with this, when we got the final whiskey, we just felt that it was better at 55%.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm a big fan of just bottling at 50 on the dot, to be honest with you. So I think 55 is a great ABV for it. It drinks really nice. It drinks like a cinnamon steeped tea from like a high-end tea, like
Yeah.
David's tea
You're
or something.
1000%
Yeah.
right on that note. Yeah. The spice like lingers on the finish, and it's just I think that's where it shines. It's like cinnamon, allspice, like Christmas spices.
Yeah. I'm actually getting a little bit of anxiety as to like, what did you do with that cask now after the fact? Like, yeah, I hope you refilled that thing, because like if that yields like something like this and you've only kept it in for 90 days, that's
We actually made furniture out of it.
Are you joking?
don't mess with me, Kevin.
Nice
I
little
knew you were
bonfire.
joking, but then you looked at him like you're serious.
I'm assuming you've refilled that thing right away.
They're not allowed to say, Rob. You just made them like so.
Is there an NDA here?
No, I think we're okay talking about future plans. I
Yeah.
think it's important that people realize that we do have future plans and that we are, moving forward on other products. We did refill the cask with some rye.
Nice.
Okay. Nice.
This will do something very interesting to a rye. But I love it in a single malt. I actually really, full disclosure here, guys. I bought this bottle to support you guys, and now I'm really actually super stoked to have it.
Well, I'm really happy that
Thank
it turned out really well, because I would just know the anxiety that you guys went through when you're taking this like Stillwater's like essentially 8-9-year-old whiskey, and you're like, we're just gonna put it in this cask, and like once you do it, you have committed.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like whatever it is, and we have to like live with it.
Yeah.
And obviously this is your very first one, and I don't think like, dumping it was an option.
Yeah.
So like how anxious and like what were you guys thinking when like this was happening?
When we did the middle base sample, like the 46 days, I started to get really worried because it goes kind of like herbal, and I started getting a little worried because I thought it was getting a little bit too weird. And I was like, oh man, we ruined this. Like it's going off the rails.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't actually know that you were a little worried there. So you kept that close to your chest.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the thing that I am worried about as far as Amburana goes is it's a very strong flavor.
Yes.
So I don't think there's a way to fix it. Like if we go too far.
I could see it getting over oaked.
Yeah.
Right. Like it does have already at just not at 3 months, it has a little bit of like a astringency to it, like, but not in a bad way, but it has like a drying effect. Yeah. Maybe that's been mellowed out from having liquid in the barrel already, I guess twice now, right? So maybe you don't have to worry so much about that. Because usually the first hit of something like is going to take the majority of that oak, I would think, right? So I think putting a rye in there is the right way to do it, because rye is pretty strong. Like
you're gonna have a beast of a whiskey.
Yeah, it's a fight back kind of whiskey. Yeah.
And I think like, I mean, this whiskey, it seems like it's for someone that is curious about crazy finishes and stuff that you've never tried before, right? Like you're taking this Canadian single malt and then putting it in this cask, like that's never been done before.
Right.
So like the intrigue is out there.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, and now you're refilling this barrel with rye. I mean, you're going to be just super, super unique on that one.
I think if I would just say something about that very quickly, the name Spirit for Us, we want to bottle whiskey for us. But when we say us, what we really mean is for the community that we are also a part of.
Right.
Right. And so we say, this is whiskey for us. Our company is Spirit for Us, but this is whiskey for us. And if you enjoy whiskey, then you're one of us.
Right.
And I think that's kind of something that we want to bring forward. We want to continue to do. We want to continue to do things that enthusiasts are interested in. And we think that, we're not producing, thousands of bottles here. Ultimately, our target market isn't, John consumer here.
Right.
We are targeting enthusiasts. We're targeting people that are like us, and hopefully, whiskey anoraks, people, if to borrow a Ralphie term.
Sure.
Yeah. Whiskey enthusiasts, people that are sort of whiskey promiscuous.
Right.
Honestly, I'm very impressed, guys. I think this is really, really good. You guys maybe took a gamble. I don't know if, like, obviously you've had some experience with Amburana, but like I would have been super nervous because you're not able, like you said, to like we should note that the reason why Jeff, did we already say this? That the reason why Jeff is on Zoom is because he's in Alberta, right?
Victoria. BC.
Yeah. Oh, BC, sorry. BC.
Even further.
Yeah, so even further. And then, you're in London, so that's a 2.5 hour drive pretty much ish.
Yeah, that's right.
2.5 hours to get here.
To get to 2:10 to get here, probably and a half to get to Last Straw.
To get to the distillery. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why, we don't have not having direct access or easy access to sample things. We definitely need to plan things carefully.
Every morning you wake up like, I wonder how my whiskey's doing.
Well,
How is it today?
Yeah, that's exactly like, I mean, you flirt with that line, right? Like you tried it at 40 days. You're like, okay, it's not necessarily where we want it to be. Then 90 days comes and like, okay, it's 9 years old and it's mellow, like it's sweeter now. It's more robust. I actually like it a lot at 40 days as well, to be honest with you. So I think you were probably just anxious because it's yours. And I think that's a normal thing, right?
Man, I get anxious when I do my little mini barrel, like crazy little experiments, right?
Yeah,
like my little, I pour like a Lafroig 10 in like something I poured in. Like every morning, I'm drinking breakfast drams to like know when I to pull it out.
That's what I mean.
I'm like, did I leave it too long?
You had that option,
and that was
imagine being miles away.
And my total investment was like $120. And then that's how much I'm feeling.
Well, we are like naturally our own worst critics, right? So like I do it to myself in every facet of my life. So I can just imagine what you guys went through, and kudos to both of you. Jeff, I cut you off. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, to be fair, I actually forgot about it. We bought ourselves like little 1 liter Amburana barrels, and we kind of like did a mini test.
Okay. That's
alongside, just to kind of, it wasn't the same and it didn't follow the same path, but at least it kind of gave us a general idea of what to kind of go for and where we were looking at.
Yeah.
If nothing else, maybe it gave you a little bit of like relief from anxiety, just to, keep you occupied in that time.
Yeah, like if you're getting tattooed, you could maybe get like a temporary tattoo, like a fake stencil, and just like, how does it look?
Yeah.
Like, no, this barbed wire looks awful. I'm not gonna go with it. Right.
That is exactly what we did. And actually, Jeff, I haven't told you about this yet, but those barrels that we bought 4 Brazilian barrels. We bought a Cumaru, a Jackfruit, a Balsamo, and Amburana barrel, 4 little 1 liter barrels to try and put some, neutral grain spirit in to really see what they're going to taste like. And I not dumped, but I tried them again now after they've been in there for 5 months. And I will say, the equivalent is about 2 years. Because, 1 liter barrel ages approximately 6 times faster.
Sure.
And I will say, it was terrible.
Oh wow!
Like it was so over oaked, it was undrinkable. So
you're sensitive to oak, though, aren't you?
I am, but I don't think you would appreciate this either. I don't think anyone would appreciate it. So I think it is just, Amburana is an interesting wood. I think it's definitely provides a lot to the whiskey industry. There's a lot that to experiment with, but I don't think you're gonna find, you know, pure
Long
maturation.
term.
Yeah, full term maturation in Amburana anywhere.
I'm opening mine. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
Rob's
very
doing an
curious.
interesting thing here.
I'm
So
curious to see what the neck pour is like,
That's
because
the
that
neck
had
pour.
some time to oxidize, right?
yeah, so that's very interesting.
So if you want, anybody else wants at it.
Hmm.
It's funny. I haven't even actually tried that yet.
Oh, no way.
All I have is my cask pull sample that I've been.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you've locked up a few bottles for yourself as well.
I have a decent sized box coming
Yeah.
just for posterity.
For yourself, or I'm assuming family and friends want to try it as well.
Yeah.
So
Spread the love over here in BC.
That's right.
nice. I want to talk about the label because I do like
I do too, actually. I
the
was gonna say
graphic
that.
design you guys went with
Yeah.
in this. And labels, do they need to be approved by like the government, by some body before you stick them on a whiskey bottle?
So they need to be compliant.
Okay.
I think if we were in the LCBO, they would need to be LCBO approved.
Yeah.
And we would have to go through a process. There are quite a lot of rules that we had to follow.
Mhm.
Like the size of the smallest letter had to be so big.
Okay.
You know, we have to have like the license number, we have to have you know, ABV written a specific way, size of the bottle, the size of the company has to be larger than the size of like the other distillery that's like those still voters on the name.
Okay.
There's all sorts of like weird and funky rules.
Sure.
And yeah, the LCBO has multiple like PDFs that you have to follow and whatnot.
Yeah.
Fair
enough. But lots of information on the label, bottled date, distilled date, the outturn of number of bottles, age statement, 9 years old, 3 month maturation, and the Amburana barrel, and the tasting notes. So I'll just read out what they are. On the nose, you guys said cinnamon, baking spices, cedar, ginger, and vanilla. And the palate gives you cinnamon candies, nutmeg, winter spices, ginger, camp forest cedar,
Camphor cedar.
camphor cedar, lemon zest, hints vanilla with a friendly Canadian cinnamon hug. I think we gotta mention a couple of those notes at the top of the head, but yeah, I think that's a very accurate representation of what you're
think so
getting
too.
here. Yeah.
Technically, we've like, you know, as we've had the whiskey aging for a little bit, I've had a few people try the 46-day sample. I had that when I went up to Whiskey Wonderland earlier this year.
Nice.
And we have had like so many different notes.
Mhm.
Like you guys are actually the first two people to provide the same set of notes that we have on the bottle.
Oh, really?
So we've had people say it's floral. We've had people say it's,
Floral for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I
definitely
can
good
see
at floral.
fruity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
I guess that's where the tea idea comes in. It does have that like black bagged tea kind
Yeah.
of note. Even the kind of the drying kind of taste that you would get from like a really like heavily steeped tea, which is in my opinion a good thing, and that's coming from the oak, of course. It definitely drinks different on neck pour
For sure.
than I find that the nose is far more opened up on the bottle that you brought. Although not a bad thing. Like it's actually, for those of you that bought a bottle, something. I mean, this needs some time to open up, of course. That's normal. It's already starting to smell more like the first one.
Just talking about those that bought the bottle, you know, I just want to say thank you to the community for all their support.
Yeah.
We have had a lot of people, you know, buy bottles and, you know, through pre-order, which actually the whiskey was released today at time of recording. And so hopefully we'll get to see a little more of it, and, you know, people get to share it. And but we've had a lot of support from the communities that we're a part of. And, we just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. And we'll link in the description of this video of where you can purchase this bottle if you're within Canada, Ontario.
Yeah, I also linked in my last video to Last Straw the exact link for this bottle. So honestly, I highly recommend it. I think you guys are really gonna like this. The fact that this is a Canadian single malt, I honestly can say that I've never tried anything like this in my life.
What did Stillwaters have it in before you guys?
Ex-bourbon.
They had an ex-bourbon. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So they had, I don't know how, I'm going to say it, but hopefully we don't get into trouble with it. They had it in a wild turkey bourbon barrel.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, and then we put it in Amburana after that.
Yeah.
Just going back to Stillwaters, because we sort of started down that path earlier. Barry was fantastic to work with at Stillwaters, and they are. It's kind of they're actually really maybe not coincidental, or it's kind of representative of our own business in some ways. So they actually started as an independent bottling company in 2006. So they've actually been around for quite a long time. And in 2009, they, I think, became the first micro distillery or craft distillery in Ontario.
Yeah.
So they've been making whiskey for quite some time. They actually have 12-year-old whiskey that you can purchase in their store. And in fact, they have older than that now because they had 12-year-old whiskey last year.
Or you can buy it in their store.
Yeah. Yeah, you can buy it.
What's that? What's that bottle there?
You mean the
Like
ABV?
ABV, yeah.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember.
It's pretty sad that I've not gone to that store. I didn't even know they still ran a store.
It's close to here, isn't it?
It's not far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like less than 30 minutes away.
Yeah, they have rye and they make vodka and a few other products. And they have 12-year-old, I think, single malt. So they've been doing single malt for a long time.
They kind of went on a bit of a hiatus, no?
I don't know if they're on a hiatus. I think their focus is more reselling.
Okay.
Casks and things. But yeah, no, they still make their own products. They have their own products. And I think that, ultimately one of our responsibilities as an independent bottler is to be positive for the partners that we work with. And, Barry was awesome.
Nice. That's good. It's good to hear. I mean, the whiskey community is one of those funny things where most people you meet, if not almost everybody, is really nice. So I've had great experiences so far. Been lucky.
Yeah.
Every distillery that I've gone to or spoken to.
It is very it's the distillery community, from like what we've gathered just from talking from people that work in the industry. It seems like it's very similar to just like the Enthusiasts.
Yeah.
It's very like, sharing is caring, tight knit, kind of like, what's good for you is good for everyone kind of thing. And yeah, been nothing but positive vibes from everyone we've talked to.
So I'll let Jeff talk about the distilleries that he's gone to, but I'm me in Ontario, and that's kind of part of our approach is, Jeff gets access to the distilleries in BC and Alberta, and I'm focusing in the Ontario side, but I'm trying to visit like all the distilleries in Ontario, and I think I've had one bad experience. But everyone I talked to,
who was it? Name names. Viewers,
this is the
know.
Whisky Rant.
Let's rant about the worst distillery in Ontario.
Jeff's in a great spot because honestly, I've been really proud of Canadian whiskey overall lately, but super, super proud of what's happening in BC because like there's a handful of distilleries that I just absolutely love Sons of Vancouver, you know, Macaloni's,
Yeah.
Shelter Point, like just a bunch. I
Stillhead.
really love them. Sorry, say that again.
Stillhead.
Stillhead. Yeah, you know what? Have you tried Stillhead?
I don't think so.
I've yet to
No.
try anything from Stillhead. I'm actually looking forward to it, but they are in a great position to age and like, you know, distill whiskey. And I think lots of great things are going to come out of BC.
Mhm.
I know Yukon, I don't know why I always lump them into like the BC kind of like narrative, but I know that they're nowhere near. It's just I kind of
Just a
feel like,
little further north.
yeah, it's further north.
West
Almost,
Coast.
almost the same.
Is
They're
it?
closer to BC than Ontario.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
They're just west of Ontario, though.
Oh yeah.
They're the owners are from Ontario.
Oh, really?
They are both from Ontario. Both, yeah,
Mhm.
which is
Oh,
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
I tried talking to them. I was like, "Hey, we want a barrel of your whiskey," and they said no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully they see this and change their mind.
Well,
'Cause,
like
I
talk
mean-
about that because like you guys are just going into these distilleries and be like, hey, can we buy some whiskey off of you? And they're like, who are you?
Yep.
So like what was that? What was that for like how are those like meetings kind of go? I mean, obviously, you like we're trying to get this like business started, but like really like how do you go about like tell the viewers out there that want to start their own independent bottling company
Oof.
like what's the process like and like maybe one thing that surprised you a lot.
I think what I've learned that you need one thing, and that is just bravery.
Mhm.
Courage. I don't know if I have tons of it. But it has been very difficult, getting the courage up to go and like cold approach these places.
Sure.
I generally try and send a cold approach email just to be like, hey, I'm gonna come by. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'd like to do. Is there someone I can talk to? I don't often get a response back. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you get a response from the distiller. Sometimes you get a response from like the marketing department.
Right.
If you get a response from the marketing department, if you're trying to approach a distillery that's big enough to have a marketing department, that's normally a harder distillery to approach.
Yeah.
Because they may not be fully aware of what an independent bottler is.
Right.
They might actually think that you just want to help them with their bottling.
Right.
I've definitely had that.
Man, I am digging this stuff.
I keep going back to it and there's this like candied sweetness note that I'm trying to like lock down that I just don't know what it is. It's like a sugared
I'll tell you what it is.
coated candy, gummy candy.
It's like, so my wife, when she was pregnant, I used to buy her these ginger candies
Yeah.
to like help with like her nausea and
Yeah, it
stuff
could
like
be
that.
something like that. Yeah.
So it's a combination of ginger candy and cinnamon hearts.
Yeah.
It's like
I
melted
did something
down
like
to
that.
this magical, like, I love it. I honestly really love this.
I
You
mean,
guys should be proud.
this whiskey, I mean,
The Amburana
you can
cask
dig
is-
into it. Like
yeah.
there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on because like even like trying the sample of the whiskey before you guys finish it, it's a solid whiskey and it's like
Yeah.
that ex-bourbon cask that they got from Wild Turkey obviously did some nice things to the whiskey.
Mhm.
You know, you're getting those like sweet vanillas
Yeah.
and stuff out of that and that fruit, and now you've put it into this cask that's maybe like a complete 180
100%.
from an ex-bourbon barrel. And so
Completely
now you've got
different.
this like super contrast and like you've got this complexity in this whiskey that's like there's a lot going on with it.
It makes me wonder, like, do you know what the char on this Amburana cask was?
There's got to be some because I'm getting like barrel char
There's
notes, right?
definitely char.
I don't know. No.
Okay. So I'm wondering, like, this is a cask that people need to start exploring because the notes that come off of it, like, I wonder how you kind of mellow it in a way, like maybe just toasting it, or maybe it's like a heavier char that'll mellow the like over like the aging, like make it less rapid, I guess I'm trying to say, slow down the aging. Because you do get, I think the 3 months is perfect because I think maybe a little bit more might have become maybe over oaked, right? It's possible. I don't
I think
know.
that's what we thought.
Yeah.
We'll still
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah,
as we
I
get,
mean,
as we do this more and more.
yeah. So I mean, after 3 months, I would try that rye and see what's going on with that because maybe it'll be a little bit longer with this run because it's a different liquid altogether. Maybe you're gonna need like 6 months to really have to start thinking about it, but it might completely just not matter anymore because you've already had that once run, right? At a high ABV at that too, right? So
We started tasting it a little more frequently at the end, just before we bottled, and we kept going, I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more, but we were really aware that a little bit more could all of a sudden become too much, way too fast.
yeah. Yeah, like this is like a matter of like a month could have drastically changed. Well, look how drastically it's changed it from 0 months, like just the bourbon barrel, to what you got halfway through and then the full way through of your secondary cask, right?
And
So
were you thinking like we don't want to take too much away from what Stillwater's provided you? Like balance, like talk about like balance, like you wanted to keep some of that Stillwater's profile there.
I think we're still sort of working out our approach to aging whiskey.
Mhm.
Obviously, this was the first one. I mean, I've been experimenting with little barrels at home for
Yeah.
a few years, but it's not even remotely the same when you get to a 200-liter barrel.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I wouldn't think so.
we're just gonna have to figure that out as we go. At this point in time, we were just aiming for something that tastes good.
I just locked
I don't
down
know
what
that.
that taste was. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know I'm geeking out. Sorry guys. I apologize. I know this doesn't actually happen. I'm in a weird mood today. I mentioned it to these guys prior to going on. That's like, you ever tried the candy Big Feet?
Yeah, I love Big
Like
Feet.
cinnamon Big Feet?
Love Big Feet.
That's what
No, they weren't
that,
cinnamon.
there's like a
Lips were
juicy,
cinnamon. The Big Feet
you're
were
right.
just like
It's like a
red licorice.
combination of like cinnamon lips and like Big
Yes.
Feet.
Yes,
There's like this juicy kind of like finish.
that's it.
I
Yeah.
can just imagine putting cinnamon lips as a tasting note on
Why not? I wonder if that's a global thing
I
or
don't
if
think
that's just a
everyone
Canadian
knows
thing.
cinnamon lips.
Cinnamon lips is like,
Do they even make them anymore? That's
it's like
another
a
question.
gummy, it's like a red gummy that's cinnamon
It
flavored.
used to be a 5 cent candy.
Yeah, they make, so you can get them on Amazon because I've done this. So I know.
You're a bit of a candy aficionado.
I used to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to cut down.
I used to be too when I was 7 years old.
Turning 40, so I think I'm a little old for it. But yeah,
Yeah, it's like a cinnamon candy.
cinnamon candy
delicious.
mixed with like I said, Big Feet,
Right, like a red licorice.
red
cinnamon.
licorice. There's definitely something fruity in the back end.
I think if we sat here for an hour, we could have a laundry list of tasting notes for this thing because it keeps changing, right?
The most interesting one that I came across from people was actually toasted nori. So like seaweed, toasted seaweed.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
I don't really get that. I don't get that yeah.
I maybe get some like that edamame kind of like note to it,
Okay.
you know?
Maybe
Like,
that's where
a little,
that,
like
yeah.
salted, yeah.
There's I keep referring back to David's tea, but
It
it's
is,
so much like a
yeah.
tea. There's a type of tea called Forever Nuts. It's like walnut and beet and straw, like all kinds of like crazy like flavors. And I swear to God, that's like in there.
Yeah, like blueberry tea.
Yeah.
Harney's and Sons does a hot cinnamon spice tea that this tastes like. Now that you've mentioned that,
There you go. See? Okay.
yeah. And the barrel had a medium toast.
Medium toast.
Medium, okay.
So I wonder
So
maybe
what's the medium? What's that, like a char 2 or 3 or something?
not even. Toast is not even a char level.
That's right.
Toast is like
They
splash,
heated it.
splash of fire.
Just a little
Yeah.
lighter fluid in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder maybe if you brought that to like a level 2, it wouldn't be so, because like think cognac, right? Like cognac tends to be barrel forward, and they only toast their French oak. So I wonder if you didn't necessarily toast it, but you charred it, if it would kind of bring down the astringency a little bit.
I think the char would add a bit of filtration
Yeah.
to that effect for
As
sure.
well. Yeah.
So 100%, I think to try on our next barrel.
I wonder, it would be a cool experiment. I don't want to lose that cinnamon forward flavor though. So like that's kind of you almost want to have like an Amburana cask that's like char 3, age it, and then finish it in a toasted Amburana cask, because it's like it definitely, like you see all these different bourbon distilleries flirting with that a little bit, like the toasted Mictors and the, you know what I mean? So I wonder if there's something to that. You get a little bit more flavor out of the barrel, but you run the risk of like maybe over oaking it.
Maybe after this next barrel, we'll pop the head off, and Kevin can sit there with a propane torch and char half the barrel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all up for risks, but
So you said there was a jackfruit barrel that you had?
yes, yeah,
That's essentially a jackfruit tree chopped up into a barrel.
I think so. Yes,
Wait, what?
That's crazy.
A jackfruit barrel.
yeah. I technically, so
Like,
when I bought it, they said jackfruit. When it came, it was I don't know how it was pronounced, but it was like Jaquera, Jaquuiera.
Them Brazilians.
but
Yeah.
is it wood?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the name of the type of wood.
Okay.
Uh,
But it's like okay, so it's like it's the tree that the jackfruit grows on.
I think so.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not a barrel made from fruit.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I mean that clarification for Jeremy was
I
actually
needed it. Thank you.
They take the fruit and they core it out, and we put the whiskey in it. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
And you just drink it like coconut water.
yeah.
Jackfruit's actually really sweet. I wonder if the wood has anything like
Maybe.
to offer.
Hey, you guys gotta do a bottling with the jackfruit tree.
Jackfruit.
Yeah, I mean,
barrel.
I think there's more experimentation there. I don't know that I had a successful experiment from that particular barrel.
Have you looked
Uh,
into the Japanese oak Mizunara?
Oh yeah. Do you have the
No.
budget for some Mizunara casks?
I mean, as an independent bottler, I think it's our, prerogative. Like it's a thing that we really should.
Yeah.
Like that's where our
You
money
should be
needs
flying
be
to
spent.
Japan and sourcing those casks.
Well, I don't know about flying to Japan, but barrels that's where we need to be spending our money, right? We don't have control over the way the spirit is created or the grain that is used,
Yeah,
the
'cause,
wood, the fermentation times, any
Yeah.
of that stuff. The wood is really where we're going to have an impact. I mean, we need to make sure that we're having the best possible impact with our wood every single time.
I've heard that maple is really hard to work with, but how cool would it be? Spirit for us being like, Canadian spirit in a
the maple cask.
Canadian maple wood
There's
cask.
probably a reason why no one's done it before.
Because it's really difficult to
To make into a barrel.
form into a barrel, because it's like
Do a square
really
barrel.
hard wood.
Do a square.
Can't, because then it won't like seal.
Yeah. Seal it. Seal it.
Seal,
Maple,
schmeal,
Seal.
lose 90% of
Glue it.
your liquid.
Let's glue it
maple,
together. Yeah.
maple syrup.
Yeah. What, you seal it with maple syrup is what you're saying?
Syrup's already in the wood.
That's
I
the
like
whole
where he's
point,
going.
isn't it? Yeah. Once you char it, you're gonna probably get a little bit of that like maple syrup kind of flavor,
There you
right?
go. So you guys are like, what did that one bourbon guy call himself? A non-distilling producer? Is that what you guys are?
Yeah, I think in American terms,
Right.
but I think we prefer the Scotch term of independent bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you guys just let's make it work. Let's just do this. Jumped in to the deep end with no life jacket on.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yep.
we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna be independent bottlers. And boom, there we have it.
I
And I mean,
definitely thought that, when we were going for Amburana and we made the decision that it was like, this is it. This either works or we're broke and we're done. And that's it.
we're just
Like, we-
cry ourselves to sleep with our Amburana
Yeah.
9-year-olds in our bed every night.
So it definitely had to work. It was
Right.
There's
It's-
been a couple times where like Kevin will send an email. He's like, "Do you approve paying this invoice?" It's like, are we really doing this? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, do it.
I can imagine. I mean, like, obviously finances are a big component of this, and it's intense. Like, there's a lot of costs. Like, can we talk to that a little bit? Like, I know that some of that's private, and maybe you want to keep some of that to yourself. But like, for those of the viewers that want to do this, what's an expectation that they can kind of like?
Yeah, maybe without even like talking numbers, maybe just talk about all the expenses that you maybe didn't foresee, like
Yeah.
the taxes, the shipping,
The
whatever.
bottling,
Right, all that stuff,
yeah.
like all that stuff that comes into play.
since Jeff is the financial side of the business.
The one big thing we've really kind of learned on this is how much money the government makes. So instead of being an independent bottler, we should have opened our own government. We would have paid a lot more because they're the only ones getting rich here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the big thing I've kind of learned is how much you might want to, choose a fancier bottle. Well, the fancier bottle costs $2 more. Well, that means your retailer's going to be paying, or your consumer's paying $5-6 more at the end of the day because you went with a fancier bottle. And you start looking at these things on these other, on the shelf, and you're like, oh, that's probably a $5 to $10 bottle, which means I'm paying $30 for that bottle alone. And it kind of makes you second guess your own purchases now because
Yep.
you realize how much you're paying for some of the extra frills. And that's been kind of the big one, is just how much a small cost adds to the bottle price at the end of the day.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, and to really underscore that point, taxes isn't just taxes. It's like taxes on taxes on taxes.
Yeah.
So when we say, there's this cost, which is like, X dollars, $2 or $3 or whatever, or $50, there's a percentage on a percentage on a percentage, as far as taxes and things go. So
Right.
that cost skyrockets quickly. And, when you dive into this, I mean, we didn't necessarily, but when you dive in, you want to know your costs up front as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And so we're learning as you go, and that's definitely one of the trials. And being prepared and having a plan up front is important.
Yeah. Jeremy and I have flirted with this idea before, as you know, Kevin, and even after the fact, recently we've tried again, and we stopped short at basically the all-in cost because we had a hard time, in our heads justifying like the unknown. So like, good on you guys, because you guys came out with a product that tastes great, smells great. It's a 9-year-old age stated. Every single piece of information that you guys want to know about this whiskey is actually on the bottle. And you went in, you did it.
Yeah,
Like, that's the key, right?
You
Like,
you arrived, you did it.
yeah, you should call it like,
Thank
change the
you.
name to Big Stones.
Yeah, yeah, Big
'Cause it
Stones
takes Big
whiskey.
Stones.
Big stones for us.
All right.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
Actually, big props to our graphics designer, Alexandra, for this, because she put up with a lot of crap from us. being like, hey, we want to put this information on the bottle. And then she redesigns the label. And then we're like, we actually want this on the label now too. And then she redesigns the label again. And then we're like, actually, can you move that from the left to the right? And then she redesigns the label.
I
Right.
feel like we went back, we did like 50 iterations on the label.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's your baby, so you
Of
want to
course.
make sure it's perfect the way you envision it. And I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that is very important for us is, connecting with our community, with the enthusiasts, with the people that are going to be drinking the whiskey. So just if I can, say a few things or give a heads up here.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to be in Elora this weekend for pouring a gin at the Last Straw booth. So if you want to come and say hi, please do. We're also going to be in the Whiskey Explorer magazine, which I think is launching. Oh, I think I forgot the date. I think it's June 15th, but I could be wrong.
Just let
But
me
yeah.
know. I'll put it in. And we'll put all this information
Yeah.
in the description as well, so you can check it out.
Whiskey Explorer magazine, that's a free magazine, so just go to the link, sign up, check it out. And we're also going to be doing just a Zoom session. Everyone that buys a bottle is going to receive a letter with all the information saying thank you and just telling them, giving them all the details. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's got QR scan codes at the back and
Oh, nice.
nice full.
And it's just going to be to connect and to meet people that are in the community and, have a tasting session and just to have a fun time on July 4th. And so if you buy a bottle up until July 4th, you'll receive one of these just giving you all those details.
Awesome.
Nice.
Anything else you guys want to add to this before we sign off?
Ooh, to Jeff?
Big thanks to you guys for having us. This
Of
is
course.
this
It's
is
our
awesome.
pleasure. Our
Um,
pleasure.
And big thanks to everybody that bought bottles and helped us at Stillwater, Last Straw, and everybody that's helped us on this. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of help from a lot of people.
That's
And
true.
because we haven't done it, it's just like, well, what are we doing? And everyone's like, well, do this, and they've kind of helped us through this, and we wouldn't be here with this bottle without that.
Nice.
Very true. And you guys have played a huge part in my whiskey journey. Both of you. Like I definitely would not be where I am. This company would not exist had you guys not had channels that for me to follow and engage in and grow and get information from and make friends around the community. And so big thanks.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. That means a lot.
Check out the link in the description. If you want to buy Spirit for Us bottling, you can buy it through the Last Straw website. It's available right now. It's available Canada-wide, right? They'll ship to anywhere in Canada.
Canada
Except none of
wide,
it.
Except none of it.
Except
and
for
there
none of
are
it.
A few restricted postal codes, but yes, Canada wide.
Okay.
Guys, honestly, don't sleep on this. This is like nothing you've ever tried before. Really, really good stuff. I'm not just saying that. I don't know if you've been watching, but I've been like
I know I've drank a lot of
going
this
back
already.
to it. Yeah, it's
because you
really
need
good.
to drink a lot of it because
It is. It's
there's
crushable. Like, as
layers
our boy
and
James
layers
would
of
say.
things. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. There's lots to figure out with this whiskey.
There's so many cool notes to this whiskey that like people are honestly gonna love this whiskey. I honestly believe that if you're a bourbon fan, you're gonna be obsessed with this whiskey. If you're a single malt fan, you're gonna be like, that's a single malt. What? Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's
yeah,
so good.
and you got to try this Amburana cask because it's like, what is it even?
I've
You
never
know,
had anything like that in
exactly.
my life.
You're like, what is it?
Even that bourbon Amburana finish that you sent us did not taste like this. This is like really, really cool. I'm actually super stoked that I have a bottle. I might have to buy a second one.
Spirit for us, all the socials, links in the description. You can buy the bottle through Last Straw website. And guys, thanks so much for for sharing your whiskey with us, and thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that's gonna do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.